What's good, internet? It's your boy BigTony, and thank you for tuning into another video. So, I completed Spider-Man Miles Morales. I loved the game, I loved it. Now, I could be a little biased considering the fact that I love Spider-Man, but to be fair, I love Watch Dogs 2, and I was very honest about my opinion with Watch Dogs Legion. This is going to be a spoiler-free review, so, you're safe. However, I will be speaking about the opening sequence of the game, but all of that was in the promotional material of the game, so you're safe, don't worry about it. Anyway, since you're watching this, you probably want to know more about the game. I can help you there. Cue the intro. So I'm going to do this review a little bit differently. Instead of going through each section, story, performance and graphics, world, gameplay, characters and all that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the story and my opinion of it, and then I'm going to list off the pros and cons and just kind of do this a bit more freeform as opposed to doing it more rehearsed. And if you like it, please let me know in the comment section down below. Or if you don't and you want to see me do it a bit more structured, how I usually do it, then hey, sound off in the comments, it's up to you guys. Anyway, story. So, real quick, I want to mention that before you start this game, it will ask you if you want a recap of the Spider-Man story to show you what happened and why you're here. This is something that I really appreciate because whilst a lot of people would have replayed Spider-Man in order to get ready for Miles Morales, equally, a lot of people wouldn't, like me. So, to get a quick reminder of everything was dope. Anyways, the story begins with Miles Morales? Who the fuck is that? The story begins with Miles Morales rolling through the streets of New York doing some shopping for his mum. And in true Spider-Man fashion, shit goes down. Peter Parker is assisting a delivery of a prisoner and asks Miles to come along. During the convoy, things begin to go awry, and Miles, being eager to help, tries to solve the problem. Of course, being inexperienced, it doesn't go well and Miles makes it worse. The prisoner, now revealed as the Rhino, goes on a rampage. Peter takes on the Rhino and Miles takes care of the other prisoners. After some time and a whole bunch of destruction, Peter gets the consciousness smacked out of him and it's up to Miles to take down the Rhino. Miles comes out on top and discovers new abilities during the fight. Rhino is then apprehended by Roxxon. Then Peter and Miles leave the scene. Peter tells Miles he's leaving New York with MJ for work and leaves Miles in charge of the city, making Miles take the definitely real oath. Like I said earlier, I'll only tell you about the intro segment of the game because I don't want to spoil it for you. I want you guys to play this game because I really enjoyed it and I know you guys will too. What I will say about the story though is it isn't anything groundbreaking. If you're a Spider-Man fan or you're at least a little bit tuned in, you'll figure out the twist pretty easily. However, what the game lacks in surprises, much like the Into the Spider-Verse movie, it makes up for in delivery. I wasn't surprised by much in the story. Once I was given little pieces of information, I was able to deduce what was going to happen. However, I still enjoyed how the story was told. Now, whilst I was writing this review, I've looked into different articles to help remind me of a few things about the story, and I came across something that I completely missed, but only because it was completely avoided. Miles is a 17-year-old black Latino male growing up in New York, yet the topic of race was completely skirted. Now, I'm not saying that we have to see Miles suffering from police brutality or outlandish racism from the citizens of New York, but there was not even a mention. Yes, the game clearly shows his heritage, his father being a black man, his mother a Latino woman, both upstanding citizens might I add, thank you Insomniac. Miles being the amalgamation of the two, having black skin and frequently speaking Spanish. Yet, especially with all that happened in the world in 2020, we didn't even get a mention to the struggle of what it's like being a young black man in the world. Miles' father may have been a police officer, but that doesn't mean that Miles and his father at some point wouldn't have been harassed by the police, experienced racism at some point, felt safer behind the mask because no one knows that he's black, being proud of his black Latino heritage yet sad about it because by no fault of his own it makes his life harder, and the contradicting feeling that comes along with that, something that I personally experience at times. Or the fact that he knows that there are good cops out there because his father was one, but he can't risk trusting any of them because he's had bad experiences with them, which are no fault of his own. Confiding in Peter, asking why he should even bother being Spider-Man because they love him with the mask, but without, they would treat him like a criminal. Peter only understanding half of it because Spider-Man is sometimes subjected to hate, but when he takes the mask off, he doesn't experience the same treatment that Miles does. Look, I'm not saying that every game has to be about racism. However, when you're involving black characters, you can't completely ignore it, because black people are victims of racism daily, whether that racism is blatant or subliminal. Anyway, moving on from all the deep stuff, let's talk about the game, the GME, the GameStop. So I wish I'd invested in GameStop. Anyway, going into the pros and cons, my first pro is that the graphics, the lighting, textures, they all look amazing. There's beautiful particle effects in this game. It just looks amazing. The game looks great. I would say that it looks better than the first game, not because it's head and shoulders above, not because it's like a next gen jump, unless you're playing on the next gen version, which I played by the way, and it looked amazing, but I'd completed it already. I just, I got the PS5, so I had to put it in, I had to play it, it looked good. However, even on the PS4 Pro, the game looks absolutely amazing. It looked better than the first game, I think mostly because this is a Spider-Man 1.5. They've had time to sharpen up the game. They already know how the game was going to work. They already knew how to make the game. It's just sharpening it, making it look better, run better. And talking about the game and how it ran, this comes to my first con. There was some random long stutters in this game. Random long stutters, and it happened twice. Like, I would be playing the game like that. You see what I did there? Yeah, you see it. But anyway, I'm talking about, con number 2 is that sometimes, and this is really rare, I had some texture poppings. Now, bearing in mind, texture popping isn't the worst thing in the world as long as it doesn't happen frequently. And it happened rarely in this game, but it's still something that needs to be addressed because it does take you out of the game and it does break the immersion. Now, moving on to my second pro, the game is locked at 30 frames per second. I wish that on the PS4 Pro it would have been at 60, but you get that with the PS5, and I'm guessing that's just because of the power of the console. It just wasn't powerful enough. Now, the frame rate did dip, but only during very intense moments. And when I say it dipped, I mean it probably dipped into like the low 20s, maybe even like 20. Now, that leads me on to my third con. The frame rate can drop during extremely close up and intense moments. And it's not frequent, but say you're in a fight and you have a bunch of enemies around you, you're in a small space and there's a lot of particle effects due to Miles's fighting style with the bioelectricity and all, and the gunshots and the gadgets going off. It can cause the frame rate to drop. It's not a slideshow, but it does drop down to maybe the mid to low 20s, and it is noticeable, but it's not the worst because it doesn't happen all the time. That being said, moving on to my third pro, there's some smooth combat in this game. The combat had a flow, and it really puts you in Spider-Man's shoes. You have enemies attacking you from left, right, and center. Enemies can attack you at any time, so even if you're in a combo, you have to be quick enough to hit that counterattack or get out of the way. You can take enemies up into the sky. You can fight 15 people in a row in the air if you have the skill. I'm going to be honest, the combat is very much like the first game, but revamped for Miles's style. You've got the basic Spider-Man fighting structure. You're fast, you're agile, you can swing, you can jump high, you can web enemies up. The basics. But you've got Miles's bioelectricity attacks. You can build up the bioelectricity over time and use it in a big explosion. You can use it in more compact hits. It's really cool. And it's Miles's contrast from Peter. Peter uses gadgets, Miles uses natural bioelectricity. Now, being in combat, obviously you take some hits, you gotta take some damage at times. And that brings me on to my fourth pro, is that the suit can get damaged during combat. Now, this is only cosmetic, of course, but the fact is, it's great to see that, the developers, Insomniac, have thought about things like this. Spider-Man's suit is obviously going to get fucked up every now and then. He's going to be in fights with people that have weapons. He's going to be rolling around, getting scraped and bumped and cut. So to see the suit get damaged, it's dope, and I really like that feature. It's small and you might not even notice it initially, but when you do, it's like, oh shit, they put that in. On to my fourth con, and this is maybe a little bit of a stretch considering it's not that important, but there is no day and night cycle, and obviously that's understandable due to Miles's age. I mean, he might be 17, thinks that he's a big man, but he's got to be at home at a decent time. And I know he's sneaking out, but still, you got to be at home. You got to be at home for a certain time, because if his mom found out that he was sneaking out, boy, hey, she'll have to hit him with the chanclas. Anyway, moving on to my next pro, the fifth pro. The music in this game is great. I'm not going to go too deep into it because there's not much to say other than the fact that it's got that hip-hop tinge to it, but it still retains that grand Spider-Man sound. I can't explain it. Now, Pro 6. The side missions and, upgrades, they tie into the lore, which surprised me, and I was happy to see that. Moving on, the voice acting, top notch from everybody. The voice acting was amazing. And the next pro, number 8, the web swinging in this game, the new moves, the smooth animations is amazing. Now, there's a difference between Peter and Miles. Peter, he's been Spider-Man for a few years, so his web swinging is smooth and controlled, whereas Miles, you can see his animations, he flails about a bit more. But the thing about Peter is, he's also got a little less style. Now, this may be because it's obviously the first game too, but Peter's got less animations when it comes to, you know, the tricks and stuff like that. But Miles got sauce, my guy. Miles has got some sauce, all right? Enough said. Which probably leads me on to my next pro, which could probably tie into this one, so it's whatever. But there's a lot of flavor added to the Spider-Man character with Miles. Like I said, Miles just got sauce when he swings around the city. He can do the backflip, front flip, the spin that Peter Parker does, but then he can do other moves, and it's absolutely fire. Next pro, there's some really good like Black/Latino representation in this game. I won't go too deep into it, but I just feel like these cultures are a bit more celebrated in this game for sure. And then for my last con, number 5, crimes don't load straight away. I don't know why, but I've had a couple instances where I'd be doing a crime and for some reason everything just pops in on screen, and it's not something that should be happening in video games nowadays. Even if you need a longer loading screen or whatever, just do that and let everything load in properly as opposed to things popping in and looking weird. So those are the pros and cons. Now, as for my recommendation, should you buy this game? Yes, definitely, but don't buy it at full price. And the only reason I say that, and I should have said this in the pros and cons, is because the game is short. People who have breezed through this story, completing it nearly 100% in 9 to 10 hours. Now, obviously you can take your time with the game and you can stretch it out to maybe 20, 30 hours, but at the end of the day, for a game that can be completed so quickly, I can't recommend that you buy it at full price, spending 50, 60, 70 pounds. Wait for there to be an offer, a deal, and try and snap it up for 30 or 40. Or try and borrow it from a friend or something, because at the end of the day, I can't have you guys spending all that money unless, you know, you're gonna spend it on me. Anyway, look. That's the video done. Please, in the comment section below, let me know what you thought about this format for my reviews. I know it's a bit more all over the place, but at the end of the day, you know, I want to try different things. Usually my reviews are a lot more structured than this, but I want to see how it would feel for me to do a review that's a little less structured and see how it feels for me to just talk and go off the cuff like this. Sound off down below, let me know what you thought about it. If you've played this game and you just wanted to watch a review on it, let me know what you thought about the game. If you're going to get this game, let me know in the comment section down below. Whatever you do, comment down below. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit the bell button, all of that good stuff. And I hope to see you, I hope to see you in the next video. I'm your boy BigTony, and I'm out. Peace.